Welcome, friends. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. I'm very excited to share with you 5 ways we can look younger, not older, when we put on blush. I think many of us get a little nervous when we apply blush because we've all seen it go so horribly wrong. And as I say that, I imagine that some of you are envisioning clown cheeks, right? But the good news is that for those of us with mature skin who are over 50, over 60, over 70 and beyond, there are 5 things we can do to ensure that blush gives us a beautiful, healthier, and dare I say it, a more youthful, radiant glow. In today's video, I'll cover these 5 things and also demonstrate them. And I'll also recommend some really good blush products for women like us who are 50 plus. And at the end, I'll also share with you a solution to a very common problem that many of us face with blush: how to keep it from disappearing. For those of you who are new to my channel, please let me extend a very special welcome. My name is Elise, and I'm a professional working makeup artist who loves and is absolutely passionate about helping those of us who are over 50 look like the very best version of ourselves so we can look and feel more confident. With just a few tweaks to the makeup routine that many of us have been using since we are in our 20s or 30s, we can absolutely up our game and look on the outside how we feel on the inside. So if you're interested in learning some new tips and techniques that can really make a difference in your appearance, you've definitely come to the right place. And if you subscribe and also hit that bell icon below, you'll automatically be notified every time a new video is available. And we'd love to have you be part of our family here, so I hope you subscribe. Well, let's get the ball rolling and dive into the 5 ways we can look younger, not older, wearing blush. So does it really make a difference if we wear blush? Well, I can categorically say yes, and there is research to back up this statement. As we get older, just a few things change, right? Our cheeks lose their natural color, as do our lips, by the way, and our cheeks also become less defined because we start to lose some elasticity in our skin. So we begin to lose facial contrast. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you probably know what I'm going to say next. According to research, the more facial contrast we have, the more attractive we look to others. So to bring back that dewy, lit from within flush that we used to have, blush can come to the rescue. But we do need to use it a little differently than we did in our 20s and 30s in order to look our best. I'll first share these 5 things with you, and then I'll demonstrate on one side of my face the 5 things we can do to look our best. And on the other side of my face, I'll demonstrate the 5 ways blush can indeed make us look older. The first thing we need to do is apply blush in the right place. The old axiom that we've heard for years is that we should apply blush on the apples of our cheeks. But where have those apples gone? If I smile like this, here are the apples of my cheek. But what happens when I stop smiling? Gravity has had its way and those apples have gone further south. We want to work against gravity and do everything we can to lift our features. So the best place for us to apply blush is along the middle of our cheekbones in an upward sweep toward our ears. And we want to make sure the blush comes no closer than 2 finger widths from our nose. Next, number 2, we need to use the right blush formula. It's likely that for many years we've used powder blushes which dominate the makeup market. But most of us have probably noticed that our skin has been getting just a little bit drier, and powder blush can make our skin look even drier, which equates to looking older. A powder blush formula can also accentuate any fine lines and wrinkles we have, and when we apply it over a liquid foundation, which many of us do wear, it can also look splotchy. It simply doesn't melt into the skin as a cream or liquid blush would. On the other hand, a cream formula creates a dewy finish. Since it hydrates and sinks into the skin, it's also less likely to settle into fine lines, and it more easily blends into the skin, which creates a more natural look. The third thing we need to do is apply just a little blush and then build it up if we need a little more color. I think we've all been in the situation where we've gone in a little too heavy-handed with our blush and then had to work very hard to blend it in, or have had to remove it all together, and that always disturbs our other makeup as well, which creates some other issues. The fourth thing we can do to make sure our blush looks flawless is to blend it in thoroughly. Just as with eyeshadow, we don't want any harsh lines of demarcation to show. We want it to look like a gorgeous, natural flush with no stop or start lines. We can use our fingers, we can use a brush or a dampened makeup sponge to apply our blush. And a brush that works really well is a dual fiber stippling brush, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. And to ensure perfectly blended edges, we can use a dampened makeup sponge to gently pat along the edges, or we can go back over the edges with our foundation brush. Or a third thing we can do is pat over the edges with a finishing powder. And finally, the fifth and last thing that's important in helping our blush look gorgeous is to select the right blush color. And of course, most of you know that in order to choose the right color, we need to know if we have a warm, cool, or neutral undertone to our skin. Those with a warm undertone should go with a peach or coral color. Those of us with cool undertone need to stick to pinks or plums. And those with a neutral undertone can go with a light to medium peach or pink. And how deep we go with the color depends on how light or dark our skin tone is. And if you're not quite sure what your skin undertone is, I've put a link in the description box below to a previous video where I go through the 9 different ways that you can determine the undertone of your skin. Now let's go ahead with the demonstration. First, on this side of my face, I'm going to show you the 5 ways blush can make us look older. And on this side of my face, I'll demonstrate the 5 ways that blush can really enhance our looks. To demonstrate how blush can make us look older, I'm going to apply too much of a powder formulation blush that's not the best color for me. And I'm also going to apply it on the apples of my cheeks rather than the middle of my cheekbones. In addition, I won't blend it in enough. On this side of my face, I'm going to use the color that's best for someone who has a cool undertone like I do, which is a medium pink shade. And then I'm going to apply just a small amount of a cream formula blush in the most flattering location. And I'm going to thoroughly blend it in as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start applying some blush. I'm going to start with this side, and I'm going to be using the powder blush on this side. Now, I actually don't have a coral powder specific blush, but often we can multitask with makeup and we can use, for instance, blush colors or bronzer colors as eyeshadow. And in this case, I'm going to use an eyeshadow color as a blush. I'm going to this Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette, which is called the Zulu, and I'm going to pick the coral colored blush in the first row. I'm going to use this stippling brush, which I mentioned earlier. This is a great brush to apply blush with. Put some on my brush, and then I'm going to put it on the apples of my cheeks. Now, as you can see, when I lower my apples, when I'm not smiling, the blush is going down quite a bit into this part of my face. I'm also applying it too close to my nose. And I've definitely applied too much of it and haven't done a very good job of blending it in either. And this is definitely the wrong color for my skin tone. On this side of my face, I'm going to go with the right color of my skin tone. I'm going to apply it from about here to here in the middle of my cheekbone, and I'm going to start with just a tiny bit and gradually build as I need it. I'm going to be using this blush from Ilia, which is a clean makeup company. It's called At Last. And because stick cream blushes are sometimes a little bit more difficult to apply than regular cream blushes in a pot, I'm going to use something that will help make this application method a little bit easier. I'm going to take a little bit of this product, which is 72-Hour Moisture Surge from Clinique, and I'm going to put a little bit of it on the back of my hand with a Q-tip. I'm going to apply a little bit of this blush on my fingertip, and then I'm going to dip my finger into the moisturizer on the back of my hand, and that will enable me to spread this blush on far more easily. I'm going to start here toward the back and just bring a little bit forward. Now, as you can see, I use just a tiny, tiny little bit, and I'm going to gradually build it up. I'm applying it in the middle of my cheekbones, And I'm staying 2 finger widths away from my nose. I'm going to gradually build up just a little bit more. As you can see, by putting the moisturizer on my finger first, I was able to have that stick cream blush really glide onto my cheeks, and it creates a little bit of an added glow as well by using the moisturizer. Because of all the lights that we use to film, often we need to use a little bit heavier application for things to show up. So I'm going to add just a little bit more blush. Now, I'm sure you can see the difference between these two sides of my face. This is the blush gone very wrong, with way too heavy an application right here, which sort of drags my face down in the apples of my cheeks, which have come down quite a bit after I stopped smiling. And it's just too heavy-handed and not blended in thoroughly. The blush on this side of my face is very lightly applied, so there's just a flush of color, just to add a little bit of contrast with my skin tone. Now let's talk about some of my favorite cream blushes that glide on easily and look beautiful. The Ilia Cream Multi-Stick, which I used in the color At Last, is really excellent. I love it. It's my go-to blush. And by the way, Ilia is a clean beauty brand. Another clean beauty brand which I really love is RMS. Their blushes can be used as both a cheek and a lip product. Let me show you. This is one of the RMS blushes. As you can see, it's a beautiful soft cream. It applies really easily, and it can be used for both our cheeks and our lips. And I don't know about you, but I love a good multitasking makeup product. This is a far deeper mauvier tone. This would work well with someone with cool undertones that has a bit of a deeper skin tone. And a third clean beauty brand that makes a really lovely blush is a company called Kosas. Another brand I really love is RCMA, which stands for Research Council of Makeup Artists. Their cream blushes blend in so effortlessly, and that's half the battle, frankly, in creating the best possible blush look. Their blush is available in 5 different shades together, or each of the shades can also be purchased individually. Let me show you. These are the RCMA blushes, really gorgeous array of colors from light pink to medium pinks to corals and then a deeper coral color. And the beauty of these is that they can, as I mentioned, be purchased individually. I've also recently tried Pixie by Petra's cream blush in Fleur, which is a very light pink. It's beautiful. And I also like the fact that there's a little glow to this product as well. In addition to the pink, it also comes in a coral color and a ruby color. Let me show you. This is the Pixie by Petra blush in Fleur. Let me show you what it looks like. Here it is. It's in an interesting applicator that's quite similar to actually a deodorant applicator, but it glides on. And I'm just going to put a little bit on my finger and glide it on. I love the fact that it has a little bit of a glow to it as well. Pixie by Petra also makes a cheek gel in 3 different colors as well. And let me also just mention some other wonderful cream blushes, and I'll also list these in the description box below. First, I absolutely love Bobbi Brown's Pot Rouges. Elizabeth Arden also makes a great one called Ceramide Cream Blush. Another good one is Stila's Convertible Color, and also Nars The Multiple and Beauty Counter's Color Pinch Cream Blusher are really terrific as well. And last, but certainly not least, let me give you some tips for ensuring that our blush stays in place longer once we apply it. The trick is to layer our blush. First, apply a cream blush and then a small amount of translucent powder. Next, gently pat on some powder blush on top, but pat it in with a slightly dampened beauty sponge to give it a little bit more moisture. I hope these tips have been helpful, and if so, I'd so appreciate it if you'd give this video a thumbs up. Many of you have said you'd love to see my channel grow, which means so very much to me, and I thank you for that. And one way you can do this is to give this video a thumbs up. And I'd love to hear about any great blushes you've found in the comments section below. It's so much fun getting to know many of you through the comments that you leave. So thank you for sharing your recommendations and your thoughts with me. And it would also be great fun to learn a little bit more about you. If you're open to sharing with me where you live, I'd love to know. And if you'd also be open to sharing a fun fact about yourself. I'd love to see that as well. I so appreciate your letting me be part of your day-to-day. Thank you. And I wish you a day filled with health and happiness, and I hope you have an absolutely fabulous rest of your day. Take care.